the meeting to order at 3 p.m. Please stand for pledge. I can ask the voter. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we have a quorum. Unfortunately, Shane sends his regrets. Sounds like he's stuck in a budget meeting. That does not sound fun. We have the consent agenda, the minutes of the October 5th board meeting, as well as copies of the township credit card statements. Comments, discussions, issues with those, Steve?
I'm just making sure that I don't have any notes. No, I do not. So I have no questions. So I move that we adopt the consent agenda. Sorry.
I will second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those pass. Okay, job description update. Deputy trustee and human resources specialist.
So as we've heard, Britt's going to be moving on here within the next month. So with that change, we've taken a look at some of the job descriptions that we have out there, and we have a prime opportunity to make some necessary updates to the job descriptions. They're supposed to be reviewed every other year anyway, which I think we were beyond that. So we went ahead and got caught up on that. So we did make some changes. We did include the red line copies of those changes for you in your packet. So hopefully that does make it a little easier to read the changes that were made. Essentially, as I described in a previous email that I sent to you, for the deputies trustees position, instead of having 4 department heads, I would like to bring that down to having 3 department heads. So the deputy trustee is going to assume some of the HR roles as well. And then acting as one of our 3 department heads with Danny and Laura, of course, for fire and parks. With that, we would eventually like to bring on board before the spring and the busy park season happens. We do want to bring on an HR specialist who's going to be able to handle a lot of the HR responsibilities for onboarding so much of the additional staff that we use primarily through the parks, and be able to help Ashley so that way she's not the lone person trying to do all of that, including her new responsibilities with the deputy trustee's position.
Okay. I have a question. I know that both of these ladies are extremely busy. Do we have any concerns about combining these into one position for one person?
We've had some conversation, and that's where it's going to be key to have that HR specialist to come in. It would be too much. I'm confident. I think Ashley would agree. It would be too much for one person to try to do human resources for the entire township, and as well as doing the deputy trustee's role, having that HR specialist who's going to be able to do so much of the clerical end of it, having some of the meetings with the part-time staff. I know, having witnessed it this year throughout the summer, and of course during the spring when we're onboarding so many of the new employees, it becomes quite overwhelming to be able to have that HR specialist who's going to be able to do that. Ashley's going to be able to help kind of fill in as needed. We're comfortable and confident that between those 2 positions, we're not going to be overwhelming any individuals.
And that is, are we rewriting that position, or is this a new definition, if you will?
The HR specialist is a position that we've had previously prior to being here, of course. So this is a position that was around before that job description is being
The
updated.
reason I'm asking is, do we need to do a salary resolution?
So these changes won't take effect until January 1st, so they'll be on the 2024 salary resolution. Changing anything this year or this salary?
Just setting up for,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, and you'll see that the salary resolution will be on next month's meeting.
All right, good enough. Thank you.
So we're essentially just revising a lot of red lines, the deputy trustee position, and then adding back the HR specialist.
Correct.
I don't want to overwhelm Ashley or anyone, a lot of responsibility, right, for one person. So I just want to ensure that we're keeping a close eye on that and making sure that she doesn't burn out.
Yep, absolutely.
Dave, anything else?
Nope.
Do we need to make a motion to approve?
Well, that was kind of under all the consent agenda.
Okay, so those, we actually approved those before?
Yep.
Okay,
Talking
before we
about-
talked about it, we did that out of order. With that, I will open for any public comment. Okay, with no public comment, we will go to the department head reports, township assistants.
Okay, so we did September last month, and you got the official report this month. So Becky is as busy as I've ever seen township assistants. People are coming in right and left. We did get a lot of no-call, no-shows, which is why the actual assistance delivered out is a lot lower. We had a burial request this month that you won't see come through, the payment until next month. Absolutely, we needed to be there for the family. Situations where we're really glad to have been in township assistance for a while. You guys have all seen the trends this year in terms of how much assistance we're giving out. There are other townships that have different strategies for ensuring that township assistance is truly just a stopgap, because there are a lot of programs that you can apply for that take several weeks, even several months to hear back on, and township assistance is kind of there. So before I go, I want to sit down with Ashley and Becky and kind of talk about at the IT conference that might help us better and make sure they're getting the right referrals. Although Becky does great with referrals, so Becky's wonderful.
So do we see this trend continuing, this upward trend?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I don't think
Do you have any questions? Okay, thank you. All right, HR.
You can see that the October termination numbers are a little high. That was just getting all the summer people off our books. So that's the only reason that number is higher than normal. Our new hire, which we kind of talked about in the last meeting, fire admin, extended care staff, just continuing to hire those as needed, as replacements, as we grow in that area. I also want to point out that towards the end of October, we had open enrollment, which was 100% online system versus a paper system that we had before. I got some great feedback from staff about changes for next year to the actual system itself, and how things went, but I think it went fantastic. So, any other questions?
No.
Okay.
Laura submitted her report. I'm here because she's at the conference. Just want everybody to know, won Team Spirit Award last night. So write that down. We got $50 in Amazon gift cards. Immediately started fighting about how we were going to spend it. So I'll keep you updated.
Makes sense, important stuff.
Any other questions you have? Hit me.
Bring it a little bit. You always try to do that.
Only
A little bit.
Only because I may not see her before you see her.
Yeah.
At the next board meeting, update the Murphy Park financial statement for the
Okay.
year. She had one, I think the last one was through the end of August. And we've had
We had
some,
Labor Day weekend.
some
and-
run,
Okay.
some odds and ends since then, so, if you could do that to keep us.
Update on the extended care in the Lily Camp, how is this going?
Yeah, so Lily Camp's over. It starts back up next summer. We'll open up registration for that probably around February 1st. We're gonna move them, I think, from the Rec Desk software, we're gonna move them over to the Easy Child Track software. It has a pin punch for checking in and checking out that camp staff really likes and parents like it too. So we're gonna switch them over to that. Extended care, still a lot of quitting and hiring, and it's very just in flux, but I think that's just how it is right now.
Yeah.
But we're managing, we're staying afloat, we're relying less on full-time staff to fill in gaps than we have, so it's getting better.
And then, can you just kind of state for the record and for those listening, where you guys are going tomorrow? Can we talk about that, or we can wait till
Yeah, I'll
next
get
month?
it in
You'll get
my
into that? Okay, perfect, because it's a really big deal. Okay, that's all I have.
Okay.
Oh, speaking of, well, so the same thing, talking about the Lily Camp, other than, I think Laura was going to put together a profit and loss for those also.
Okay, yeah.
Just to keep us appraised of, that was a good decision to tackle that project.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, bye.
See you the time of meetings, it's great. Don't start clock. Do not
That's
start
what they
clock.
were doing.
Okay, well. So the first page, the summary that I gave you guys. What it's talking about in the summary is how people have stepped up. Here today, that are off, they've all stepped up quite a bit. In the second paragraph, it sums everything up. In total, we have 67 people who are either backups or backups in training for one position or another, whether that be officer or chauffeurs. Whenever we came in February, there were 22 in those seats. So as we go through the report here in just a moment, we'll kind of see what the effect has been. I think a few months ago, as some of these trainings were coming to fruition, we said, hey, look, some overtime's down, Station 4 has not been shut down or altered in any way, but we don't know if that's the fruits of labor and people stepping up or if that's just the happenstance. Now we're 3 months running and it's actually been a consistent trend. Third paragraph, given the progress we made as a department, we've seen a reduction in overtime last few months versus the first 7 by about 18%. We can attribute that to, we're in that time of the year, or we can also say people are cross-trained enough that now we're able to fill seats with the appropriate people that are on shift because people have stepped up without fear and they're starting to understand the message that, it's okay if you make a mistake, just don't make a malicious mistake or a negligent mistake. Make one because you don't know when you're still learning. And we want to foster that. That's how people are going to learn. To go along with that, Battalion Chief, Medic 144 and Engine 144 has either had less modified duty or less out of service time, and that's been reduced by about 88% from the last 3 months over the first 7. And again, that's in that third paragraph on that. The rest of it, you guys can look at for yourselves. Again, it's about trying to create a message and making people trust the message being put out versus just saying words and then contradicting yourself as the year goes on. As we look at the report, the next page. As we go through that and we move down to the bottom of that page where it talks about apparatus out of service time, you can see that Battalion 140 in September was out of service 12 hours and 12 hours this month versus the quite a number of hours the Chief Porter or Chief Phipps might have covered it in previous months early in the year. Engine 144 was either altered or out of service for 8 hours in September and 0 hours in October. Again, 3 months of positive trending there. Engine 144 was EMS only for 0 hours in September and only 12 hours in October. So again, now apparatus is in place and being utilized as it should be. That's just people's willingness to step up and be trained. And that training is as a result of 1, willingness, and 2, time agreement. There are a lot of young people that are now aging into the department that are meeting the years of service to go through these trainings and get approved, and they're stepping up quick. Also, a lot of veterans that are stepping up and taking positions, and they're starting to step forward for the battalion chief training and all that, and go through the process to become a backup. Things just change. Some of the guys that are stepping into the backup program may have served in those positions in the past, but the expectation changed of those positions over time. And we've kind of kept that mindset minus the education that we threw out at the start of the year, the formal education. Going to the next page, you'll see incidents year to date, 2023. You got 6,032 for September, 6,716 for October. We are 394 ahead of where we were this time in 2022. Lastly, moving down to the fire inspection and investigation division. This is one of the divisions we're going to grow next year. It's going to allow Tom and Levi to more appropriately do inspections on a lot of our businesses that are going up. They're behind. They're behind a lot. And them being behind also hurts us because we're not as familiar with the inside of the buildings. Our pre-plans may not be up to date. Any changes or new tenants aren't being reported. So sometimes we show up, it's a little bit of a surprise to us as well. So having a new person is going to get us out there and have somebody dedicated to being out in the field along with those two as time permits outside the other programs. Third point, under the fire investigations, fire prevention, you'll see the division assistant participated in the urban search and Project Lifesaver night trainings over the last 3 nights with UAV pilots from multiple local departments. This was huge. Courtney Lee, our public educator, along with our training division, both EMS and fire, they sat in with Levi, also with prevention. So all the divisions came together, put together a training. I walked in one time, thought maybe I was missing a meeting, and I was excused from their meeting so they could put this together. Again, but it was put together with the intention of making it as realistic as possible. Each night the scenario changed a little bit. I invited each of you to it. We had a good attendance. We had people from all over, from Brownsburg, from Plainfield, all the police agencies, county sheriff, and everybody. And we learned a lot about what we don't know with this program. It exists, but we're not perfect at it. So a lot of talk now and SOGs are going to start coming about. A lot of working across lines is going to start happening, and us working with our police departments and creating SOGs to more appropriately operate is going to come to fruition because of it. Other than that, you've got our charts on all the social media. Again, we're still ironing that out. But I'm going to put more emphasis on that next year. I'm not as worried about it this year. It's just about getting our name out. You know, we don't put any money toward it. We don't spend any money on social media. I don't see the reason in it right now. We have a pretty good reach. We're not worried on PDs. They've done a great job with theirs. Chief Nugent does a good job. Courtney Lee and I've talked quite a bit about where we want to head, how we're going to get there, what it looks like. And we'll start executing that plan as we move forward and show on that and do a good job with it.
Thank you. All right, trustee report.
So I feel bad that Shane's not able to be here today. It's certainly on me because I am the one that requested the date change for our meeting today. The reason for the date change is because our Parks Department is up at their annual conference right now, and they have been nominated for different awards, which is a very high honor. And I felt it was very important for me to try to be up at that banquet for them. Win or lose, I want to make sure that we are supporting our departments as we can. And so I do want to thank the board. I want to apologize to Shane for creating this absence for him, but I do want to thank the board for making that accommodation for me. Again, it is important for me to make my way up to Fort Wayne tomorrow to make sure that we are there with our team and showing them the support that we can. So again, thank you for that. The other information I have in my report is project updates. Again, been meeting with Laura and her team. We have met with the Veritas Group and Studio Access to try to get the very initial plans for what we would like to see with Murphy Phase 2. We all have different visions, I'm sure, in our minds on what we think it should look like and what different opportunities we should have available in a project of that size. So these are the meetings that we're sitting down, comparing some of those notes, comparing some of those ideas. Laura and her team, of course, are being as descriptive as they can to the Access Group and to the Veritas team, so that way they can start designing what this building should look like and how it should be laid out, and of course all the mechanicals and everything that's going to go with that. So very early on in that process, but I'm going to keep you guys in the loop the entire way through this process. So certainly won't be the last time we're talking about it. It will probably be a recurring theme, I would imagine, as we continue moving forward here in my reports. The last item I have on my report for you this month is just the timeline for the additional appropriations, which we talked about previously. Coming up to the end of the year, of course, we have to make sure that any appropriations that we're going to have, they will be in the newspaper by Monday, December 4th, so that way they will be published in time for our December 19th board meeting. So, of course, as we get that information out, you all will be privy to that as well.
Questions? No? All right. And thank you for representing us. I do apologize to the Parks Department that I cannot be there. Unfortunately, I have another event. So congratulations. Best of luck. Bring home some gold, right? No problem. Some hardware. All right. Old business, Washington Township Transportation.
So as you will see in new business, we do have a surplus property resolution. That is the van that we do have for the transportation program. We are declaring that van surplus in accordance with the agreement that we have with Senior Services. So that way they're taking ownership of the van during the operation of this program that we've got going on. So that's really the only update that I have for the transportation program, other than the fact that we do see Mike, or they've got another driver, I believe, who's also named Mike, ironically enough. We do see them pull into the parking lot periodically to pick up the van to go do exactly what it was designed to do for us. So it has been out. I look forward to, as we continue operating this program, just to see how it's developed and how it does get used in the community. And I look forward to next year when Marina has that opportunity to come by and kind of give us the update on where we're at with that and what that's going to look like, hopefully long-term for us. So.
Okay, so the program is operational at this point?
It is operational at this point.
Okay, that's exciting. Pedestrian crossing.
Steve at the town has continued to kind of keep me in the loop as that continues to progress. They've been working for the pedestrian activated crossing or the warning lights. They have two sets of those going up. I believe it's just two sets of those going up across town, one of them being there at Murphy Park for us. And they just recently had the markings exactly where they wanted the footers placed for that. So I do know that progress is happening. It's all on, different contractors and their timelines and everybody trying to finish projects before the end of the year. But things are happening. I do anticipate that the pedestrian activated lights will be up sooner than later. And then I still don't have any other information on when the speed table itself is. But I do appreciate that the town is still keeping us in the loop as far as the ongoing progress of that crosswalk.
And we did get the CLO, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. I thought that was done. Wasn't sure if I dreamt it or if it happened.
Nope, it happened.
Okay,
We
perfect.
pretty happy to finally have that. So
Wonderful. Okay, under new business, resolution 111523-01, surplus property resolution.
as I just described, the surplus property resolution is for the 2019 Dodge Caravan that was purchased for the Washington Township Transportation Program. As per the agreement that we have with Hendricks County Senior Services, we're actually transferring ownership of that van over to them to operate for the trial period of this program.
So remind me, so you said the trial period, so are is this a donation of the van
We are donating the van to them for the 2-year trial period.
for the 2-year trial period? Okay, so we want to declare it as surplus, then what happens when it comes back?
See that what we did was, for the purposes of liability and control, we just shifted the vehicle to them.
Okay.
And at a later time, a determination will be made on how the program's going.
Mhm.
And if perhaps they were to say, we can't really deploy this, this isn't, we can't find consistent funding, whatever, then the board will evaluate, okay, well, transfer it back to us and we'll liquidate it, and then you can reapply the funds. Or if they're like, yeah, it's going all right, we found adequate funding, you can just leave things as they are.
Okay.
But what this does is it postpones an ultimate question of predicting how an unknown program is going to go year by year. It's entirely possible that it's really robust. It's entirely possible that funding and or ridership's not there. If that occurs, I think the thing that in the scenes was this would just be, if they liquidated it, it would just be a donation to them at that point, and perhaps those assets ought to come back, find something else to collaborate on.
Okay. Steve, you have any questions?
No. I move we adopt resolution 111523-01, resolution declaring surplus equipment.
I will second. All those in favor? Passes. Next, resolution 111523-02, travel policy.
So this is a policy that we learned through the conference that we attended that a lot of agencies get hung up on in their audits. While the fire department had a travel policy in writing, the township and parks department did not have anything officially in writing. So this is just a copy basically of the fire department's what they used. We did change it just a little bit to say that we're just going to follow the state board, or I'm sorry, the state of Indiana's Department of Administration guidelines. So anytime those change, we don't have to revise our policy. So it's basically what their policy said. It just had the actual details in it. This kind of took those details out and just said we're going to follow their guidelines, so we don't have to change it every time they change theirs.
I do have one question on the whereases, where in the fourth one, I'm not quite sure why that wording is pertinent to a travel policy.
I think that was just a copy and paste error. We took another resolution and so I can take that out and get you a clean copy.
We table this until we get a
Hold
copy.
on.
Fees, maybe the phone rang. I think we're missing a D and receipt, because throughout, and it is state board of accounts policy, you've got to bring receipts. So I think we just need to adopt subject to itemized receipt.
And I'll get that changed too before you sign it.
We'll table that one until we get a clean one. Okay, resolution 111523, this one will become 02, 24 holiday schedule.
You have the holiday schedule for next year there in front of you. The only change from this year's holiday schedule to next year's holiday schedule, we did add Columbus Day into the holiday schedule. That is observed by some other municipalities around us. So we did include 2024 schedule for next year. No other changes beyond that.
Steve, can you?
Yeah, that's fine. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I move we adopt resolution 111523-02, 2024 holiday schedule.
I will second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Next, resolution 111523-03, 2024 board meeting schedule.
So the schedule for meetings for next year, of course, we talked at our last meeting about the January 2nd meeting, how that one is not optional on the day that that meeting is. The other meetings, of course, we do have a little more flexibility in. But the schedule that we've been able to come up with is there for your review.
My question is, can we wait to approve this until Shane is able to look over it? And I, to be very honest, I probably need to look at my calendar as well. Steve, were you able to compare it to your calendar?
I'm an old retired guy.
Sometimes it makes you busier than us. So I would feel better if Shane were at least able to weigh in on it, if that's okay.
Yeah, I don't think this one is binding as far as when we have to have this approved, obviously before next year, so.
Okay.
If are set, other than that, in the final budget adoption, so.
Okay, all right, so let's table that one until Shane has a chance to review and weigh in on that, and let me please, triple check my calendar. Okay, resolution 111523, this will become -03, group transfer resolution.
Can you speak on the transfer for me?
Yes. As you know, the State Board of Accounts mandates that all budgets individually be positive at all times, but also the large groups within those budgets must be positive at all times. So this is just to enable us to get through the month of November before the administrations come in December. We may do one of these again in December, because this is really just targeting the ones that right now are going to need money before the end of November. So definitely expect to see another one of these in December.
No. Okay, I move we adopt resolution 111523-03
Yep.
regarding transfer,
I will second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 111523-04, capitalization threshold.
So our previous capitalization threshold, I don't know when the last time was that we updated it, but it's been a while. I believe. Was it? Okay.
We've been on the board.
Okay.
I can remember it happening.
So we had it at the threshold at $1,000. Anything above $1,000 has to be listed as a capital asset. We're in a day and age with technology that includes laptop computers, that includes cell phones, that includes a lot of things that typically we wouldn't consider as capital assets. So we are requesting the opportunity to raise that capital threshold to a more significant dollar amount. In the proposal we have for you here, today's $5,000 threshold is what we would like the new capital asset threshold to be for the township.
My only question is, State Board of Accounts, still follows all of their guidelines. As long as we adopt it, this isn't going to be contrary to what they recommend.
That's correct.
Okay.
I'm
I'm looking for everybody to nod. Okay.
This makes sense. 1,000 seemed way too low, so
Yep.
it just makes sense to me. I'm good with it.
Okay. I move we adopt resolution 111523-04, capitalization threshold applicable to Washington Township.
I will second. All those in favor?
I have the revised travel policy.
So then, Steve, it looks like the changes were made, so this will now become resolution 111523-05. Washington Township.
The changes that we discussed. I move we adopt resolution 111523-05, Washington Township Employee Handbook regarding travel policy.
I will second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, with that, any public comment? No? The only question I have is, Ryan, will you send this board schedule separately to Shane? That way it's, right, just that instead of buried in a packet?
Absolutely.
Okay, perfect. Any wishes to be heard? Adjourn, can I get a motion to adjourn, Steve?
I move we adjourn.
I will second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, we are adjourned at 3:36 PM.